I want to speak about the topic that is with me now for about 25 years. The heaviness of this topic is with me for a long time now. And I want to start with a personal story. I have been working in theater as an actress back in Germany, in Munich, on a play called Clavigo from Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. And I just can't forget that moment during rehearsals where a colleague of mine, a really respected actor, he was playing Clavigo's counterpart. And he had this very strong opinion. The worst situation a person can be in, and the worst human condition, is indecisiveness. And I remember it so well because of all the weight of this sentence. When you think about it, yes, we've all been in these situations, especially in our days, where our lives are so busy and so colorful, where we change professions, we change relationships, we change where we live, countries, continents even. We change our life circumstances, and it feels like pushing 7 lives into one. So several times in our lives, we feel very indecisive in this in-between phase, in this in-between stage. Shall I stay? Shall I go? Shall I pick up another profession? Shall I pursue and continue where I'm now? Am I keeping the hope in this relationship, or is it better to let go and move on? What's the greater good for both of us? And so on. Do I keep on living in this house, or is a smaller place or a bigger place more suitable for my life circumstances now? And so on. In all topics of our lives, we find ourselves in situations where we have to make decisions. And I just perceived indecisiveness as a very uncomfortable space to be in. So I don't really know how and what to do. I don't really have all the greater picture. I don't really feel informed enough to make a decision, or I just don't have the soul strength to what I see is right, to pursue what I see is right. Going from, this is just really an uncomfortable feeling, indecisiveness, and maybe these hours, these days, for some people, it's weeks or months where they would gather information first to make an informed decision, and nothing wrong with that, but it really feels very uncomfortable, this transition phase, to come to a decision and to move forward. And I decided to look at it energetically. Why is a brain like Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, which is considered to be one of the biggest and deepest thinkers, philosophers of the German-speaking countries, and by the way, is also the man with the greatest vocabulary in the German-speaking language. So he really knows a thing or two about life. Why is such a brain, such a person coming up with indecisiveness as the worst? Well, I should make a correction here, because it was one of the character he created that guided the main character a little bit through the play. So it is not his own words, it's one of his character's lines. But still, there is some truth to it and some wisdom to it. But to have it as such a weight that indecisiveness would be the worst human condition, it really goes in, doesn't it? It's not just a little uncomfortable phase, it is the worst human condition. So I decided to look at it energetically and why such a brain would come up with a label. It is really, really bad. So I went into meditation, I went into contemplation, and I looked at it energetically. What is happening with an indecisive person? And there I found it, and I saw clearly why it is so completely bad. So let's say a person needs to make a decision. For the sake of finding an example, let's say, is it moving to Sweden or moving to South Africa? So these are two moves where we find lots of ups and lots of downs on both sides. And it's certainly not an easy decision to make, an informed decision, and also feel into it and then really go with it. A decision like that, if you drag it out for a long time, and that's the problem. Indecisiveness is not, I am finding my truth and I'm deciding. It is pushing the decision far out. And in the meantime, what we can see energetically is that part of the personality, part of the soul energy rather, is going to explore Sweden and is going to feel into this and is going to have the benefits and downsides, is going to experience everything from the um, shorter days and dark winters to the beauty of the country, the nature, to the social atmospheres. And the other part of the person is already feeling into South Africa, is climbing up Table Mountain, is connecting with all the animals in the Kruger Park. It is connecting to the people of South Africa, all races, all cultures, all languages, all this richness of this beautiful country. All right. There you have it. Part of the soul and the personality is in Sweden, exploring. Part of the personality and soul is in South Africa, exploring. And who is actually living the life here? It is a body that runs on a very, very, very reduced flame. It takes a lot of energy, of soul energy, to come to a decision. It is important, not just to the personality. It's crucial and important to the soul's development. So the soul is very busy going to show you all kinds of ways, of atmospheres, of information you need from South Africa and from Sweden. So part of you is there, part of you is here. But the person and the soul who is sitting now, let's say I am in the US right now. So who is living that life? A tiny portion of the person. So that's why indecisiveness, if it's dragged out over weeks, over months, is going to significantly weaken the person who is indecisive, because a huge portion of his soul's energy is in Sweden and a huge part is in South Africa. This is where it gets more and more difficult, because when you run on this reduced soul's energy that remains with you in the US, it will get more and more difficult to find a decision because you're so weakened. And with this weakened energy system, it is getting worse and worse, and it's getting more and more difficult. Because, to move from the US to Sweden, to move from the US to South Africa, it takes a lot of energy. And it takes a lot of joyful energy. You're believing in a future that is unfolding. You're believing that you're going to find maybe a better place that suits you better, or that is just so different that it's going to inspire you a lot. But if you dragged out your decision very long and huge parts of yourself are away for a long time, you're going to be so weakened that it's going to be very difficult to move to Sweden or to South Africa. And the likelihood of you just imploding and staying in the US is very, very big. It's actually a thing that happens to a lot of people when they want to decide, do I stay, do I want to leave? They stay indecisive until they lose all their energy for either staying or leaving, much less the energy to move forward. So I remember as a child, I read about the native Indians. When the chief would ask you if you wanted to do a task or not, the time span you had to find your decision was 3 breaths. You were only allowed to breathe in and out 3 times before submitting your answers. And that's why. That's exactly why. The faster you decide, the more inspired and joyful your decision is going to be, and your energy is going to stay with you and is going to come with you and support the move. So to me, this is quite an eye-opener, what happens energetically, and why it is so difficult to move on if you had delayed making a decision because you're weakened. And we also need to be a little bit careful, because when we're in a weakened energetic state, our immune system also gets weakened, and we really don't want to go down that path of attracting an illness that is bringing some kind of change into our life just to bring back in a little bit of movement. And I'm sorry to say, but I see this happening to many people. But now that we know, we know. Maybe in our times it's a good idea to take a little longer than 3 breaths to take a decision, but actually going with the first impulse is not a bad thing. Keep your research short and on point. And it's getting easier and easier with AI to find all the information you need to make an informed decision. That's always important. And then also trust your intuition, because most of the times when we stand in front of decision making, we actually know what we truly, really want. We are just not sure if it is really the best thing for us, and if we have yet considered all layers that ought to be considered. So I hope this encourages you to keep your energy bundled, keep your energy or expand your energy to explore, let's say, Sweden, and get it back to yourself. Expand your energy to explore South Africa, get it back to yourself, and then decide. With this, I would just like to jump through the camera and give you a big bear hug. I'm so looking forward to your next decision, going to be made in a few days, and you know what you want in life, and you can just trust that this is the best for your soul to move forward and grow, no matter in which circumstances you land. Much love. See you next time, Dr. Sarah.